Hi, my name is Kelly and welcome to my channel. A while ago, Holly from A Lovely Day with Holly made a tag called the Great Outdoors Book Tag. She tagged me in it. I was so excited about it, and I have been wanting to do it so bad. But it's been so stinking hot here, and I wanted to do it outside. I was waiting for it to cool down, but I don't want to wait anymore. I want to do it. I'm just not going to do it outside because it's too hot. However, I will insert beautiful scenery for you to enjoy anyway, and hopefully that will make up for it. Anyhow, so the first question is, what was the last book you read outside? It was actually George Mueller by Roger Steer, and I will put a little clip somewhere around here of that. I found the cutest little area to sit down next to a creek and read, and the sound of the creek was so relaxing. And then I could just look down to my right, and there was like a little bridge that the water was flowing under. It was so relaxing. I loved that so much. Okay, show us a book cover of a beautiful nature landscape. That's number 2. So I received this as a birthday gift, actually. It's Gentle and Lowly. And look at like the hills in the back and just that little bit of fog. I love fog. And the sheep, and it's just the trees. I love it. I love green, first of all. Anything that's green outside, I love. So I think that that is so pretty, and I'm very thankful for the gift. All right, number 3, name a book you love that has a strong nature element. The first thing that popped to my mind was The Secret Garden. That book has so much conversation around, of course, the secret garden. It makes sense, doesn't it? So the thing that caught my attention, though, was that to me, I felt like I could see a parallel between the growth and the things that were going on in the garden and the growth and the things that were going on in the lives of the children. And I thought it was so beautiful, and I felt like that was a very strong nature element. Number 4, name a book you like where some part of nature is a character, like personified, talks, etc. The first thing that popped into my mind for this were all of the characters from Narnia. So the Chronicles of Narnia, you have talking lions, you have talking beavers, you have all sorts of wild stuff. There's birds and squirrels and just everything talks. The trees talk. So the whole thing has animals or some part of nature that is personified. Number 5, what is your favorite outdoor reading spot? Pretty much anywhere next to water that's away from people. I love being able to just listen to the water and not hear anything else, not hear people talking. I just want to listen to the water while I'm reading. I found a really beautiful spot a couple years back that I went camping and nobody else was there. It was just me. It was almost like nobody knew about the spot. And there was a creek going right by, like within just a few feet of the spot that I set up camp. And I set up my hammock and I just sat there and read and just listened to the water flowing by. It was wonderful. Number 6, name a book with a nature word in the title. The White Mountains by John Christopher. I think that's his name. Yes. Anyway, The White Mountains by John Christopher. That's actually like a dystopian novel, and it's part of a trilogy called the Tripod series. So I think that that's a really fun series. You should read it. Okay, number 7. Yes, number 7. Name a book that actually taught you something about nature and animals. The Lay of the Land by Dallas Lore Sharp. I read that book with my son, and for homeschooling, the things that he talked about, the different kinds of trees, the different animals, like I the way that he talked, I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about the difference between certain trees. I don't know much about the difference between certain birds. Like, I can notice the difference between a flamingo and a cardinal, but I didn't know what a chickadee looked like. I never thought to look. But reading that book, the way that he talks about the nature around him and the animals, and it's so beautiful, and it made me want to look up those animals, see what they actually look like, or see what that specific tree actually looks like, and retain that information for myself and learn more about it. I feel like I loved that book more than my son did, which is probably true. But he did like it. I feel like I just loved it a lot more. Okay. Number 8. Can you think of a book of survival in nature? Hatchet by, hold on, what's the name? By something Paulson. Hatchet by Gary Paulson. I read that in high school. I actually want to reread it because I don't remember everything about it. I remember that I liked it. I remember that there's survival. I remember that there's a hatchet, but I don't remember everything else. So I need to reread it. Okay, anyway, 9. Do you have any nature-themed bookmarks? Boy, do I. Okay, so 1, I love bookmarks. I like to collect them. I like to sometimes, if I can, match them to the book that I'm reading. I love bookmarks. So first, I will show you, there is this one that has orchids. This was given to me as a birthday gift as well. And it's actually from a painting of Van Gogh's. And so I think those are orchids. I don't know. They're flowers. So it's so pretty though. I haven't taken it out yet though, because I wanted to show you guys. It would have made more sense for me to take it out. You would have been able to see it better. Listen, anyway, so last year when I was done teaching my niece, her and my sister got me this beautiful bookmark. It has a feather and a butterfly and this little orb that has like a flower in it. Hold on. Can you see that? No? Okay, that's all right. So then my sister, she travels to places that sometimes I don't get to travel to. One of the places that she got to travel to was Hawaii, and it got broken during our move, but it was a surfboard. It's made of a piece of wood. It has a turtle on there. I love this thing. It breaks my heart that it got broken during a move. Like, seriously, it makes me so sad, but I still use it because it is my favorite bookmark. My second favorite bookmark is this one that my sister got me from Africa, and it is a painting. Well, an elephant is painted on it, but it's made with hide. And she got this from there, and it's so beautiful. I love this thing. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, I love this bookmark. Okay. And then I have this one that has a picture of the galaxy and talks about the stars that God created. And then I like to crochet. And so I have this like cup that I put all of my bookmarks in, and I have it up on my bookshelf. And so I wanted to make it not just be a cup of just random like cardboards. So I crocheted some flower bookmarks and some leaf bookmarks. I crocheted like 10 of these, and then I put them in there towards the front of the cup to where it looks like it's almost like a vase with flowers and leaves coming out. So that's my fun little random thing. So yeah, those are my plenty. I feel like there's more, but I feel like that's good enough. My nature-themed bookmarks. Okay, so number 10, name a book that reminds you of each of the 4 seasons. For spring, I'm going to say Ariadne and the Legend of the Fire Rose by Christy A. Cole. There is so much about flowers in that book, and I read it and I just feel like it's spring. And I can't remember whether it actually was spring or not in the book, but it feels like it to me. So I loved it. It just has the flowers everywhere. And when I think of flowers, I think of spring. I don't think of summer for some reason. I only think of spring when I think of flowers. For summer, I think of Pride and Prejudice. To me, that is a summer book. Pride and Prejudice, you read that during the summer. And I feel like I felt like that before I knew anything about Jane Austen July. Just to me, it feels like a summer book. Autumn, I think of Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. It's a mystery and it takes place in England, which is like a little bit rainy, a little bit cloudy, just very autumn. I love the feel of that entire book. So 100% Moonstone. And then for winter, Little Women. I know that not all of it takes place during winter, but I think of Little Women and I think, oh yes, wintertime. No other time. It does not belong in any other season of the year. It's winter. And that's my feelings on it. Okay, moving on. 11. What is your favorite outdoor activity? Depends on the weather. If it's warm, I want to be swimming. I love swimming. I love being in water where I cannot touch. If I have to just sit in a creek and cover my feet, still love it. I love water so much, but swimming definitely at the top. If it's not warm weather or warm enough weather, I love bonfires. That's probably one of my favorite activities or bonfire or campfire, anything where I can sit next to a fire and stare. Two very opposite things I'm realizing, fire and water. Like, that's interesting. Number 12, do you think you could live off the grid? Absolutely. With or without electricity, I could do it at least for a time. I feel like it would get a little sketchy during winter when it came to food. I feel like I might get a little tight on the food source during winter. Hopefully, by the time it came around to that, I had already learned how to be better at gardening and put stuff aside. So, but I think I could, at least for a time, at least for a few months I could. And I would love it. I would just be concerned about the food during winter. All right, number 13, list a book for each of the settings: desert, ocean, jungle, air, and mountains. So for desert, I'm going to say Prophet by R.J. Larson. I believe the majority of that book takes place in the desert, or at least when I read it, my brain put it in the desert, and that's good enough for me. Okay, so Ocean, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. I think that that's my favorite Jules Verne so far. I know I haven't read all of them, but I love that one. And boy, if you're talking about a book that has anything to do with the ocean, that's the one. Okay, so Jungle. I'm going to say My Hands Came Away Red. And I talked about that book with my sister on here. I can't remember the author's name right now, but I'll put a picture of it up here like I have been with everything else, I'm sure. That book takes place mainly in the jungle, not only during their ministry, but when they are running for their lives, they're in the jungle. And it talks a lot about their surroundings and learning to live in the jungle. So that one's really good. Okay, Air. I'm going to say Death in the Air by Agatha Christie. I think that's one of my favorite Agatha Christie novels. And I will say, I know it goes by a different name in England than it does here in America. I don't remember what that name is. Maybe I'll put it here for you guys somehow, somewhere. But I love that. And not all of it takes place up in the air, of course, but the most important part takes place up in the air. And then they are continually considering what happened there, and they're going back there in their thoughts and in their mind. So a lot of it has to do with the air. Not the air only, obviously. It's also the plane that they were in the air. I'm moving on. All right, mountains. I would say The Moonlight School by Shelley Shepherd Gray. That book was so good. It takes place in the, hold on, Appalachian Mountains. I have pronounced it Appalachian my entire life, but I've been hearing people from the area call it Appalachian. So I'm trying to do that now. So it takes place in the Appalachian Mountains. That feels weird in my mouth. Anyway, it is so good. It talks about, it takes a true story, but fictionalizes it about the process by which night school came to be a thing for adults and how it started with the people in the Appalachian Mountains. All right, number 14. Name a book where weather is a major element in the story. The Bitter Winter by J.L. Knight. This is, I think, the 5th book in her Ilion Chronicle series. Winter definitely has a huge impact on what is happening in this story at this time. All right, number 15. Name a book with a strong snow-cold setting. Frozen Deep by Wilkie Collins. I read that recently, and it talks about the Arctic. So a lot of it takes place up in the Arctic, and it's cold there. So, yep, there's a lot going on with how cold it is, and I will say it ended better than the Franklin expedition that it is loosely based on. So that was nice. All right, number 16. Name a book with a major wildlife theme. The first thing that came to my mind was actually 2 books, but I did read them back to back by the same author, Jack London, and that is White Fang and Call to the Wild. And these stories are like the reverse of each other. So White Fang is about being wild and then coming to love humans and, not be wild anymore. Whereas Call to the Wild is about a dog that had a loving family and ends up in the wild and learning how to survive that. And there is so much that happens in both of those books, and it's very centered on the animals and the wildlife that is around them. So those weren't my favorite books. They both made me really sad. And there was a lot of like violence, like animal on animal violence. That's not my deal. I discovered real quick that's not my thing. But I can see why they are classics, and I can see why I've heard of so many guys growing up and being like, yeah, those were my favorite books growing up. So I can see that. They're just not my favorite. Okay, moving on. Number 17, what would be your ideal climate to live in? Mild. So I grew up where like the coldest on average it gets during the winter is like 47 degrees. And the hottest it gets on average during the summer is like 79, 80 degrees. There was a lot of rain, which I love rain. Not everybody does, but I love how much rain there was. And I loved that, like, whether it be winter or summer, I could wear flip-flops. If I get cold, just maybe put some toe socks with the flip-flops. Or, like, I could put on a hoodie. I never needed a winter coat. And I didn't even own one when I came to Missouri for college, which was a mistake. So I think that I prefer the mild, and there was no humidity there. Humidity is stupid. It tries to kill me every year since I've been in the Midwest/South. Like, it's horrible. I will take dry heat and dry cold over humidity any day, and how dare anyone suggest otherwise, because humidity is absolutely horrible. Also, because where I lived was so mild, the dry heat wasn't that hot anyway. And the dry cold really wasn't that cold anyway. So it was just a mild, temperate place to live in, and I loved it. So that would be my ideal. All right. What season do you read the most in? I think I read the most in winter because I'm at home and I'm just sitting here. I'm not going outside very much anyway. And I'm not a huge TV show watcher much anymore, or movie watcher every once in a while, but I don't do it a lot. Number 19, what animal do you think represents these 5 genres? Romance, horror, fantasy, historical, and contemporary. Romance, a dog. I feel like that's probably going to be what most people say. Romance is a dog. Horror, I'm going to say owl. Not because I think owls are scary, but because anytime I think of horror, I think of the scary movies where someone is outside and all of a sudden there's an owl, hoo, 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 and the person freaks out and they're like, oh my gosh, who's there? Or, something like that. I might be thinking of like cartoon scary moments now that I think about it. Okay, moving on. Still an owl. I'm sticking with it. Anyway, fantasy. Parrot. A parrot for fantasy. Now, hear me out. Okay, so 1, I'm thinking of real animals, right? So, in fantasies, some fantasies, animals talk. And that's how you know, oh, this is a fantasy. This animal is talking. But parrots in the real world, they talk. And they're fantasy creatures living here in the real world with us. Like they already talk. I mean, I know they just repeat, but they're talking nonetheless. So parrots are fantasy creatures in the real world. I'm sticking with parrots. Historical. A horse. Horses were the main mode of transportation back in the day. Like anytime you read a historical novel, there's at least one person riding a horse, rightfully so, because it's historically accurate. So horse. And then contemporary. A cat. I feel like I've heard a couple people say that as well, with good reason. A cat. All right, so number 20, what do you hope to finish before the current season is over? We are currently in summer, and I don't know what I'm like really hoping to finish. I don't know. That's a great question, because I'm really just mood reading right now. So I don't have something that is on my list and I'm like, I need to finish it. I don't have that. So I don't know. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. Anyway, I would love to see some other people do this tag, but I don't know who's been tagged yet. I tend to do this where I don't check things before doing a video. Anyway, I will tag some people down below. If I don't tag you and you want to do this, go for it. Do it anyway. I'd love to see it. And I hope that you guys all have an amazing day. If you don't have a channel yourself, but would like to answer some of these questions, put them down below. I'd love to see the answers. Anyway, you guys have an amazing day. Bye.